It all started one spring day in 2021 when my husband Mike and I were out for a walk. He looked at me and said, "Honey, you're walking funny." I am not. I said I was offended. I had always identified as a strong person, a healthy person. I took walking completely for granted, as most of us do. But I had to admit, he was right. Something was wrong. My left leg was dragging, my foot scraping noisily on the pavement. It was impossible to ignore. What followed was a long and scary and frustrating series of events that eroded my sense of myself as a strong and healthy person. A brain MRI revealed that I had a stroke somewhere along the line. That was freaky. I fell several times, once breaking my arm. I needed knee replacement. I lost confidence. I moved ever more slowly and tentatively. All along, I kept holding on to hope that we'd figure something out and I'd be able to walk normally again. I tried so hard. I pushed through pain. I forced myself to keep walking, trying so hard to take normal strides and always winding up frustrated. I did so much PT. I kept thinking maybe things were getting better, but you know what? They weren't. I was stumbling. I was literally stumbling as I walked, and I was also stumbling in the effort to figure out why I was stumbling. One day, shortly before my hip surgery, I was getting ready and I heard a voice inside my head say, "Your hip replacement is the first step to the restoration of your gait," which is another way of saying walking. "Cool," I said out loud. "I'm in." I wondered, was it a word from God? Because sometimes I did hear from God, or was it just wishful thinking? I didn't know, but either way, I really hoped it was true. A couple of days later, I had my yearly appointment with a neurologist, which is what happens when you've had a stroke. And she asked me if I had any new symptoms. Of course, she knew about my walking difficulties, and I said somewhat reluctantly, well, I've had this very slight, very occasional tremor in my left hand, probably nothing, right? But I guess if I'm honest, I have to admit I have times where my left hand also just doesn't seem to want to work right. She did some motor testing and looked at me and said, "I might be hallucinating because this is so subtle, but I think we should test you for Parkinson's disease." What? As an RN, I knew that Parkinson's was a scary word. My stomach lurched as I waited for the special brain scan that would hopefully give us more information. The days crawled by. Fears gnawed away at my normally optimistic nature. Sleep was tough. My appetite disappeared. That was a hard time. I finally had the test, and the results on the patient portal came back subtly abnormal, suggested a Parkinsonism. Oh, well, I knew that this test was 95% accurate, so the whole time as I waited for my appointment with the specialist, I held on to the hope that somehow the scan had gotten it wrong. I mean, I did have a 5% chance of not having it, right? But in March of this year, I had my appointment, I got my diagnosis, I have Parkinson's disease. The answer to the mystery was solved. I knew why I was walking funny. I didn't like the diagnosis, but as weird as this might sound, I had this sense of relief that we finally knew what the problem was and there was stuff that could be done. I started almost immediately on medication and a program of physical therapy, occupational therapy, and intensive exercise, which will be with me for the rest of my days. It's kind of like I got this new job that I'm never ever going to retire from. As a person who's always loved a good assignment, it's been very empowering to me to have specific things I can do to help myself. You get it. Never in my wildest dreams would I have imagined that diagnosis of Parkinson's disease would be the second step in the restoration of my gait. But that's what's happened. I am walking normally, my motor symptoms are gone, my confidence is back, I once more see myself as a strong and healthy person. And I've always been pretty grateful and generally positive, but living with a neurodegenerative disorder has turned me into someone who lives in gratitude every day. Every single morning I wake up and I know that life is a gift. So I don't walk funny anymore. The message was true. My gait has been restored, and all I can say is thank you. Thank you.